So the MPC sample has been out for a couple months now, and I think it's safe to say the hype and honeymoon phase is over. I got it when it came out because I really wanted to. I've been wanting to get an MPC for the longest time, but the more DAW-like structure of the screen and workflow of the MPC Live and the one just never really appealed to me. But I did really like the workflow and stuff. I was thinking about getting one of the old ones, like a 2000 or 1000. Then they dropped this, and I was like, well, this is exactly what I was looking for. Much more of a sampler, and just a dedicated, like, old school type sampler. Um, but as I've used it more and more, there are things that I'm not the biggest fan of in terms of the workflow. Like, it just doesn't click for me. With that being said, though, there is one thing on here that makes me want to keep coming back to it and I find really fun to use. And that's, I was originally going to just say chopping, but it's actually sampling in general, which you would hope with a name like the MPC sample. But the way you sample on here is really awesome. So that's basically what we're going to do today. I've got some drum loops and we're going to chop those up, and then I think we're going to record in some guitar and just make a beat. So if you've got questions about the MPC sample or just want to see what it's like, that's what we'll be doing today. And also, it's really hot here, so I have the air on. It's off at the moment, but if it turns on, you may hear some noise. I've got a filter, but we are live, so you know that's what it's going to be. But we're going to start with this drum, right? So this is a pretty fast beat, and I've been doing a lot of halftime grooves lately. If you've been watching like my shorts and the jams I've been doing and stuff on Instagram, so one of the great things about chopping is that you can turn any drum into like another drum beat. But what's so great about chop here, we're actually going to hit chop. It instantly has a threshold chop, which you can see we've already got like our isolated one shots. But if we go back to chop and we change the chop type, then we can do the, you know, auto chop type of things, a 16 region. There's even a manual and all that. But the threshold's great, and if you hold shift, you can actually adjust the threshold. So that's what I think we're going to do. So let's get into the sequence. I think we're going to do like 137. And let's do 4 bars. And we'll set the quantize on for the moment. We'll do 16th, and we'll put a little swing on it. But again, I think I'm going to build up the track. Claymore X says, Akai take their time with the new updates. I know, there's things I would love to see updated. I only recently just downloaded the latest firmware update that fixed that. I could not stand the knobs. You'd have to go back to where the knob was last set and move it. But now it's actually, you can change that in the, I think it's the MIDI setup. We can double check that. If anyone didn't know that it can do that or something, let me know. I can go over it. But for now, yeah, I agree with you, Claymore. I'd like to see some more updates, but you know, we'll see. There's a lot of things we'll talk about it near the end that like I would like to see updated on here. But as it stands, this is the reason I keep coming back to it, is that this chop method is just like so intuitive. And having the screen, it comes in handy for that one part. But I do like that this is much more of an old school workflow. Anyways, we're going to do 4 bars. Let's do sequence record, get this set to chop. Perfect. Okay, so we kept it pretty simple. If we go back to this, now what we could do, if we go in here to our chop mode again, I think it's in this actually, yeah, no, it's tune. If we press the top button once, we can set it from mono to poly, which this can be a little dangerous depending on how long your chop is, but now we can actually make this, let's find like a hi-hat. See, if we were set to mono, right, we can only hit one at a time. But with poly, we can make it like an actual drum. But if you're finding like the hi-hats in that sample are a little too loud for you, what we could do is copy the sample and then record it that way. I think this is fine. I just want to find a couple sounds I like. Yeah, I like that. I think we're going to keep it simple. I'll show you in a minute, an interesting guitar riff. So I kind of want to build the drums around the guitar, but I just want to get some chops in first. So we'll just get a little bit more in. But what I am going to do, and this is risky, but we're going to turn quantize off for recording. And let's see how it goes. That worked. Okay, now we've got this really like lo-fi and kind of gritty sample as well. What I think we're going to do actually though is go into knob effect. We're going to be using the amp sim in a minute, but first let's go over to the vintage emulator. Let's put it on that SP1200 ring, and I almost want to resample this. Maybe we won't, but I forget. I think we need to, when we sample, we've got to change. Yeah, okay. So to resample, we've got to change it from, I had it on the rear because we're going to do guitar, but we'll set it to resample, and then we can actually bring this in. But oh yeah, I forgot. The effects, not my favorite thing. The way the effects work, it's really like one bus effect if we're talking in like SP404 language, and you can choose what goes into it, and then there's the end sort of master effect that treats everything. As far as I know, you can't actually like bypass the pad effect if you've got it turned on. But I want this drum right here to be in that, and then we're going to resample. So let's go over to sample record. Doesn't want to trigger. Why does that not want to trigger? Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Let's see. It's been a while since I've used the SP for like resampling. Oh, the monitor's off. That's why. Okay, that should work. I have the monitor off because this would make noise. So that hopefully solved it. Let's see. Let's go here. That's still not doing it. Then I don't know. Like I said, this isn't the biggest thing anyways. We'll just not worry about it for now. We can always come back to it later. But let's just set that back to rear. By the way, quick thing I realized, if you set it to rear and you only have 1/4 inch in there, it's going to record whichever side, like on stereo. So if you have it in the left like I do, it will only record on the left. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing mono, you want to set it to whichever one you have it put into. Okay, so from there, I don't know why that was acting weird like that, but we're not going to worry about it. I'll just record those as is. I'm just going to turn the amp sim back on for later. So let's chop this up and find a couple sounds that we like. I'm going to just raise the volume a little bit. Yeah, I like that. Okay, perfect. And we'll just put that real quiet in the mix. And then I think what we'll do, I have the filter set to, or I have the fader set to a filter. So we're going to just put a low pass filter on it. Again, this is where I would want to really resample that. I don't know why resample's acting odd. Maybe it's the threshold or something, but we'll come back to it if we really need to. For now, though, we've got our parts. I'm going to just, again, this is going to be real quiet in the mix. I'm going to drop its pitch. I like that kind of off beat. I know we turned the quantize off. We could always reset it, but I kind of like that. Just in the background, giving a little bit of like weird groove. I'm going to grab the guitar, and we're going to record in some guitar. Now this might make a loud noise because I think we've got the monitor back on. So I do apologize if we get some crazy loud noises, but let's plug in the guitar and we'll record something. Like I said, I've got a little riff. I don't know if you can't see the guitar much, huh? Okay, hopefully you can see it now. Now let's check over on input config. There's the guitar. Okay, I had to raise the sample volume, so I apologize if it's a lot louder to my voice. Just let me know. But let's turn on the amp sim. That's the riff we're gonna do. Okay, so let's see. I want to get a little more drive on here. We're gonna raise the guitar's volume a little bit. It's too much drive. The amp sim on this, I did a video on it. Originally, I was a lot more hyped on it. I'm less hyped on it now. I think I would definitely go back to the SPs. I think it's a bit better, honestly. But it is nice that at least it's there. So we've got it. But everything's usually a little more like distorted on this amp sim. You can't get that great of a clean tone. But we can mess around. Let's see what other settings we have. That should work. See, but as soon as I bring the drive up, it's like super... It's like so clipped. But okay, we'll find a good sound. Let me see. That'll work. Okay, now that, yeah, the drum, I was gonna say the drums are probably super loud. So let me go in and change those real quick. Again, let me know if it's like really loud compared to my voice. I'll double check it. It looks like it's okay. But just let me know if it got too quiet, because I'm trying to mix this like live, so and I can't actually hear it, so just let me know. All right, let's record in some guitar though. Let's go. We'll go to this one, and okay, that should be working. We can always change the threshold. Now we could, like the SP, set it to a measure, but it gets a little wonky on here, so we're not going to do that. Let's set there, and then we'll play the signal. Here we go. Oh, I totally botched that. We're gonna redo that. Let's delete that one more time. It's hard to play this with the tripod like right there. Man, hold on. All right, one more time and then we'll get it. I also do, actually, you know what? Let's get a warm up in. Let's record just the chords. That way we'll like build into it. There we go. That should work. So that's our chords. I've been doing that major minor seventh. I think it's a major minor seventh. This. It's such a weird chord, but going from a minor seventh to that major minor seventh just sounds so cool as like a passing chord. So let's sequence that in. Not sample record, sequence record. And let's put the quantize back on. All right, here we go. Now, what we could do too is even chop that up and do, if we go into chop, let's change that to maybe 16. I don't want to chop it, but that is an option. Sometimes this is such a weird chord progression that it's going to be a little wonky, but sometimes you can get a really cool chop out of it. Okay, now we're going to try that lead one more time, and let's see how it goes. Okay, hopefully that worked. I'm sloppy this morning. What can I say? It's a little rough. Ooh, slightly wrong note. But that was better. I think we can use that. But I'll tell you what, we'll record one more just to have it. All right, one more. There we go. Hopefully that was cleaner. Let's see. That major minor seventh arpeggio is a big stretch. I could have done it like this too. But That's okay. I think we got it though. So let's record that in 2. And what I think we'll do is pan those left and right. Again, like I said, we could chop this, right? This could be a rather interesting chop. The major minor 7th chord though just really throws it into a weird spot. But let's see if we change the threshold a little bit. Whoop. Okay, so I think that, one more thing I want to do with this before we're done with the guitar, because it's not the most fun holding it. We may chop that. We may use it as just the lead that it is. I want to record a single note though. Let's see. So this is, I think we're starting with an A minor 7. So we'll do an A. Actually, let's do a C, because then we'll have the low C, so we can actually drop it down rather than just ascending. So basically we're doing A, what is it? D, C, D. So I kind of want the low C so we can kind of move around and stuff. We'll see. Oh, I didn't realize I'm recording that whole thing. Let me delete that for a second. We'll redo that one more time. Okay, I'm going to just get this single note. And that's a D, actually. That's not a C. So that was totally the wrong note. We want that one. Because this is a baritone, I've got it set to B standard. So let me record one more. We'll get a really long recording of it, just so we have it. Oh, no, no, no. Let's undo that. Get out of that. And it didn't even take it. Hold on. There it is. Okay, perfect. Now, we'll take off the guitar for now. We'll put it back. And we may use it for like a lead at the end. But for now, we'll leave it. Toby says, nice that you show the sample live. Gives me inspiration to create more. Nice, yeah. I like the sample. I have, as we'll talk about, I don't like to finish things in the sample. I want to just, it's really fun to start, record in there, and build a single pattern. It's after that I'm like, and then the resampling, like you can see, it's clunky. Now that is probably user error, that earlier it not resampling, but it's just a weird workflow in general. There's no just like, I think actually we could do that as well. We can hit shift resample. So we'll see. We might try that, but that I think is once you have a pattern set. But anyways, it's just not as easy like on the SP, hit resample, just go. Again, this might just be my way of interpreting how this works, and it just doesn't click for me. But that's all I can show you, how it clicks for me. But I do really like building an original like first idea on it. Okay, so we've got that, and what we're gonna do is go over to tune and drop that to -12. Now we've got a bass. Perfect. And then let's see, if we go into chop, go back here. See, like, the lead I wrote I actually really liked, but I kind of like that idea as well. So what we're going to do, record this in as it stands. Yes, exactly. The whole, Toby says, great for fast sampling too. Exactly. The whole reason, like, the one thing it gets right, I think I mentioned it at the start, but that I titled this video on, is sampling. Like, it nails sampling perfectly. And just chopping. Like, all of the sampling and chopping is just, like, so good on this, way more than even on like the SP. It's so much more intuitive, especially here that screen comes into play and like a little more of the buttons and stuff like that. But it's after that it starts to lose me personally. But let me know in the comments, do you like to finish your whole song on the MPC sample, or do you move it somewhere else to finish it? I'm curious, because that's where I stand, right? Like, I'll start it here and then move it elsewhere. Okay, so like I said, let's get out of chop. First thing we're going to do is just record it as is. Perfect. Perfect. Now, I recorded those both at around the same octave. So, something you could do. MPC is pretty quiet. Okay, I'll bring it up. Thanks, DF Audio. Let me know if that's better. Yeah, it does seem like my mic is a lot hotter on that. I don't know why. When I set these earlier, it was crazy. All right, tell me if that's a little bit better, guys. I put it, this might be too much now. That's probably too much. Here, we'll set it, let's set it there. Tell me if that's better or if I need to adjust it more. Appreciate that, DF Audio. Is that Beals says, can you sample back and forth via USB with the P6? You should be able to. The USB sampling is awesome on here and it's decent on the P6. So you should be able to. Now what I was saying before I read what DF Audio was saying was, I recorded these both the same octave, right? Probably not the best thing. So one thing we could do is take this arpeggio. I don't know if we're going to keep this, but I want to show you. No, thank you, DF Audio. He says that's good. Okay, perfect. I'll get to the rest of the comments in a second. Hold on, guys. One sec, because I want to show you something. One of the other things that I think it gets super right, and again, it all comes into play with, I think we could call it sampling, is the warp function. So, like, this is cool, but it's the same exact octave as that guitar I recorded. And so me being lazy or just, opportunistic, I guess, whatever you want to call it, we can actually warp this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Again, I have a better idea for how we'll do this, but I just want to explore this option with you just so we can check it out. But if we change warp from, what is it, pitch to time stretch, we can adjust the tune as well as the warp. Warp is going to set everything to the BPM we're in, which I think we set it to like 137. But now we're going to raise it to 12. So you can hear we've got some pitch artifacting. But, oh, that's the wrong. Now it's separate. Again, I don't know if I don't think we're gonna stick with that, but it actually kind of works. It kind of works. All right, let me get, I don't think we're going to keep that though. Again, I'll show you why. We're going to pan those, I think, and then do something else. But Slick P says, I reluctantly bought one, currently waiting for it. I think it has had a lot of potential, but there's a few things I don't love. That's pretty much where I landed on this. Like, it's got a lot of potential. There's a lot here. I think it could use some updates for sure, but I also think just it has its limitations. That's not to say it's wrong. I love creative limitations. You work around it. But there's some things that just, for me, don't mesh well, but I really like this part of it. Let's see. Yaz Bell says, try Ableton Move. I don't use Ableton at all. I don't like Ableton personally. It's an awesome platform in DAW, but it's just not for me. I've heard good things about the Move. At some point I'll probably check it out, but yeah, I just don't have much like drive to check Ableton Move out. I've heard great things though. I kind of like that. With that filter, I think we took out some of the artifacting. But with the filter up, like, we can really start to hear that artifacting. Another one says, try Ableton Move. I think I just explained my my point. But, hey, if you guys all want to see it, maybe at some point. But I don't have any real desire to check it out in the immediate future. I did just try a new sampler though, and I'll have more on that next week. Okay, so for right now, let me show you. Here's one of my biggest issues on the MPC, okay? Erase, right, is an instant erase. Let me see, is there a sample that we don't want? Right, yeah, like this. So if I hit erase and click that, it's gone. We could, of course, undo with Shift Undo. Yeah, so, but if you want to copy, it's Shift Erase. Let's see, the what is that? If you like this exact element of the sample, then you'd love Move. Nice, yeah, maybe someday I'll check it out. Again, everything else about it just doesn't really intrigue me. But at some point I'll try and check it out. Okay, so I'm gonna sample this. So we have to hold Shift Copy, which is erase. That one's selected, so we'll move that there. And then, now we have it. So I'm gonna turn the warp off on this one. And then reset this back to 0. Because I really like that arpeggio where it's at. And then over here, let's go and change the pan. I want to test something real quick. This one we're going to pan to the left. Oh, that one's not it. This one we're going to pan to the left. Okay, so hopefully you're getting stereo. I think you guys are, because I'm going through USB audio. But I just panned the arpeggio to the right and the little chords to the left. And now, even though they're the same octave, it is a lot cleaner. And again, I'm not worried all that much about mix and clean right now. I'm just making a beat. I can fix all that stuff later. But now we've got it a little bit cleaner. It's grooving a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, that one that we did the arpeggio on, or that we raised the oscillator. Wow, man, I cannot speak today. That we raised the pitch and did the chop, right? Let's see if we can get like a lead out of it, because we could play a lead on the guitar, but we've got this, so let's see. Because again, the whole point I want to show you is like, this is what I love about it, the chopping. Like, I probably would not, whatever we come up with these chops, I would not play live. Ooh, I kind of have an idea. I like this, that major minor seventh. We can work that little wonky note in there. There's so many options, that's the problem. Like, there's so many ways we can go with this, you know? So I got the first half, I think. It's just the second part I hear a different. Maybe we go simply. Oh, the quantize. That's where we don't want quantize on. Silk P says, yeah, at first glance I felt like it was kind of an SP404 ripoff with a few things that are nicer than the SP. Non-destructive feels very machine-like, but I wish it had a few more MPC elements. See, that's where I'm torn. I agree with most of that, but I actually wanted it and was interested in it because it got rid of a lot of the modern MPC elements. I held off, like I said at the start, like on getting an MPC because I wanted a little bit simpler. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, awesome. That's cool. But yeah, there are issues. There are, okay, so I know there's differences, but there are pad mutes. You can mute the pads. If we go to mute, like, I might be misunderstanding, because again, I don't have like MPC, but we can do this, right? Like, we just muted the drums. So we can do that sort of stuff, which is a lot easier to do on this than the SP. Because the SP, what is it? Shift, reverse, and where's my SP? I don't even remember. But yeah. Ninja says, I think for resampling, everyone uses the recall function. I don't use it, so I'm not exactly sure what it does. But I think it records 30 seconds or more. Yeah, there is that, the recall. I always forget about that too. We could probably do that. That would work. I never think of it with the, because my brain's always with that mark mode on the SP is set to looper. So I always forget. And I know this is a totally different machine, but that's just how my brain thinks. That's a good point. We could do that probably. So we'll look at that in a second, because I do think just distorting this into oblivion would be awesome. And so maybe we will do that, because that probably would work. Good call. I appreciate that. But for now, let's turn off that quantize. I really want to just get a little lead. And again, we may actually play a lead in the end, but I just want to just see where we can get to. So the part we were doing was like... Oh, that's... Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Something like that. I'm just gonna try something and we'll see. Ah, I messed up. I hear it in my head. I gotta just remember the parts. Okay. So the end part's not exactly what I want. Again, we could probably just record, but you could hear all that like artifacts, probably aliasing or something, but from that warp and pitch tune. But I kind of like it if we do just sort of like a... Okay, so here is where we're starting to run into one of my issues, right? And again, I'm sure, like Ninja was mentioning, there's workarounds and stuff, but I'm not the biggest fan of the effects routing and like the way the routing is, because like I'd love if we had multiple effects buses like on the SP. I would love to have like a couple things going to a delay and a couple things going to like a compressor or something. We have that master compressor, but again, it's like it's almost there with that, but it's not quite there. So what we could do, right, is the resampling. But again, the resampling, however we're going to do it, whether it's the recall or whatever, it takes us out of the flow of just creating. Like if I could quickly just be like, okay, this sample's going in the delay bus, and then the rest is staying in this like, you know, vintage emulator bus, we'd be done and we'd be back to doing something else. But now if we want to add delay to this effect, we're going to have to do, let's see, I guess we could mute all that. Go to, what is it, the effect, and put on like a delay. But see, I also want like the vintage emulator, so we'd have to do it twice. Or use some of the bus effects. So let's go, we'll put a delay on. Let's find a delay. Maybe this delay? Let's see what that sounds like. What was that sample? Was it this one? Okay, and then we'll go to pad effects, and if we do the latch, maybe we'll add this color to it, and we'll change it to, let's say, cassette, and hear what that's like. So maybe that could work. Let's play through it. Oh, we could actually just do this, I think, now that we just have everything muted but the one we want. Oh yeah, let's add some reverb too. The reverb is pretty crazy on this. So see, I'm going to the pad effects, which is like at the end of the mastering chain, and everything will get hit by it. That's why I've muted it. To my knowledge, and again, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, the pad effects are at the end of everything and you can't take things out of it. But either way, we can mute everything and we're going to resample. Now, I do believe this resample thing should work. So we're going to hit resample and move it to an empty pad. And if I'm remembering right, it's going to just play the pattern. Let's turn off those effects. And then if we go back to sample, there it is. And we're just going to get like... So now we got all the effects. I know that vinyl noise or cassette noise is a bit overdone on this. I was trying to do it quick. We could redo it. I don't really care. So then what we could do is, I forget if we can just like exchange, but we could just mute the one, that one now, and just sample this one in. There's, again, probably better ways to do it. That is a lot of cassette sim. And we'll just drop the volume. I just want it. Oh yeah, I think that thing's still on too. that. Now let's go over, we can put everything now through the vintage emulator. Now another cool setting I found for the, we'll set all pads, which puts everything. The vintage emulator, instead of, well, the SP1200 ring, if you resample with it and then like drop the pitch, you get a lot of that really cool old school artifacting. But instead of vintage emulator, another really good one is the soft clipper, just for like really getting some like oomph to it. But we're just gonna do the MPC 60. And then if you turn that on with the compressor, which that might be on, but it's not set for this song. I'm just gonna set a little bit. So it's given some movement, like basically we're having that kick be really prominent and it just causes a little bit of like a sidechain duck. All right, we got some comments. So let me just run through that real quick. Slick P says, I get you, we agree. I also feel modern MPCs are too much, so I wanted this one to be kind of halfway. Exactly like it is, but with a few things slightly more powerful, pad mutes per sequence. Yeah, I got you now, okay. Traditional tracks and a few extra details. Yeah, I think we're on the same page exactly, because that's right how I feel. And yeah, so I get that totally. And then what is that? Zamzaddy says SP404 or MPC sample, who wins? I don't know if it's obvious from where I was at, but I would definitely, at least still for now, choose the SP if I could only have one. I still think I would rather chop things in the MPC sample, but then I would still prefer finishing things on the SP. All right, Sema says, go to sequence and copy your sample playing to a pad and use step edit to take out any sound and repeat the process. Yeah, you can do that, but I do not like the step editor, like at all. I would rather just mute and just quickly tap a button and it just plays through again. That does work though, and I'm glad you mentioned the workarounds and stuff, but I'm not trying to be contrarian with all these things. I'm trying to point out like some of this is just the way I work on a sampler, and that just doesn't necessarily fit how I work, but there's all these workarounds and I get that. But I just like the flow state of making stuff on the MPC sample is so awesome up until you finish chopping and like sequencing. For me, that's where it kind of like, oh, now I have to resample and do all this weird stuff. Like it's a little bit easier on the SP, I feel like, and on the P6 and a lot of the other samplers we use on the channel, even like the tracker or something. And so that's just where I stand, but like I totally get that I've seen some awesome music made on the MPC sample and stuff. Anyways, I think this is the bass. Yeah, I think we're about where I want to be. So let's just get a bass line. So I want to say, it's been a minute now since we did the recording, but I want to say this was a C. So let's go over to 16 levels. That, which is again a little weird, this is our default note over here. On the SP, it's usually this one, so it just throws me for a loop. But so we have C sharp, D is one of the other notes we're gonna want, and then this should be A, so it should be. But I need to, and I forget how we do it, turn off the gate. And I'm totally blanking on the gate, honestly. Let's see. We can always just change the end and the start point too. Let's see. I'm totally forgetting if there even is a gate on here. I would have thought it was, let's see. Let's see, we're over here. Decay from, start. The other thing we could do is try the warp with a bass line, like on the guitar, and drop it. That can work as well, and it can be interesting. Let's see. I'm totally forgetting that. Well, anyways, we'll just record that. So let's do that. Whoop. There, we've got a bass line, right? That was easy. um, so let's drop the volume because that is super loud, I think. Now we've got our bass line. All right. Seema says, I love this machine. It's a lot of workarounds and so simple. It's a little beast. I'm still exploring. Totally. I am not trying to hate on this. I think it's awesome. I just have to point out where it falls short for me. Anti-Pewter says it throws you for a loop. Really? Yeah. All right. Ninja says, the great thing with the sample is that you can keep your sequence running while you sample new sounds in. Yeah, I know. That's the awesome part. So you can play to the sequence a little easier. With the SP, you have to stop the sequence as far as I know. No, you can... I'm pretty sure you can change that. I'd have to have the SP in front of me, but there's a lot of options with the SP, and they're all hidden in tons of buttons and menus and stuff. Slick says, hopefully with time they're going to update it. I can live with most things if they add USB-C multi-channel outputs. I am so 100% with you. That's the not having multi-output is such a huge issue, and then just the weirdness of some of the things with the USB audio out, like the volume stuff. So, I don't know if it got fixed, but like if you go to Chop, or there was something, I can't remember, it's been a while, but if you go to certain settings like Chop or something like that, it only comes through the speaker instead of like through the USB audio. Some of that may have been fixed because I swear it used to be with the metronome too, and right before we went live, it was like working. And I just downloaded that last update from a couple of weeks or months ago. So hopefully they change things and add it. I'm glad they fixed the knob thing. The fact that you can go into, I think it's MIDI config. Where is that? Over here. And you can change the parameter and knob effects to instant and the fader instead of like having to move it back to where it was last set. That was a big help. Now again, I would put a gate on that bass. I'm just totally forgetting how we do that, and like I haven't used the sample for more than just sampling in and chopping in a while, so it's probably something I'm just completely missing. And you're welcome to always let me know in the chat, but I'm not seeing it. Let's just check here. Yeah, I don't see it. It's probably like right in front of me and I'm missing it. Wait until the MPC Sample 2 comes out. Yeah, they released a lot of MPCs. What was it? The Gen 2 just came out, the 1 Gen 2, and I think they released the Live 3 this year, if not right at the end of last year, and then the XL. So there's lots to choose from the MPCs. But at some point, I would like to try a Live 3. They do seem really awesome. It's just a big investment that I don't want to make right now, and I'm really happy with the simpler thing. But at some point, I may want to try that. But I really like these budget samplers right now. Like you'll see the one in the next video on Saturday, another budget synth. Let's see. Slick says, yeah, did not know or do not know that they didn't use infinity knobs. It's one of the things that I don't like on the SP. Yeah, I know. I love like on the Digitac, you can just keep going with the encoders and stuff. Okay, I think we're pretty good there. So I think from there we'll just talk how I typically would finish this idea. So again, we could go into the sequence, we could move the sequence around, go into the step editor and this step edit and like remove the parts that we don't want, or just hold and delete. I think when you're in sequence, you can actually like hold, erase, and delete the like information that's recorded of things. So we could make a bunch of copies like we do on the SP, but it's a lot slower, right? Like as far as I know, again, and you can always welcome to correct me because I'm happy to be proven wrong because it would make working on this easier. When you copy a sequence, I don't think you can do something like on the SP where you can say only move these pads like to the sample or to the next sequence. You have to go in once it's sequenced and like delete those sounds. So again, everything with the sample for me after like making the initial thing just adds these roadblocks that kind of kill my flow with it. And it's a bummer because to get there, it's just so much fun and I just like have a blast. But once we're there, it's like, there's all these little things just kind of like killing my my vibe on it. So there's that. What I will typically do though instead is just record into a DAW or another sampler, but typically it's a DAW for this part, and I'll just play the track beats, right? Like maybe we want to just start with like that, right? Could add an effect and then go back into mute, and then we'll bring in the drums. And I'm just recording all this into the DAW. So I just kind of I'm just going to record all that into the DAW as just a stereo 2-track, because like we talked about, there's no USB multi-channel audio. From there, I just stem split it, and you get a little more room for editing and stuff. You get the drums isolated. I use Logic, which has a pretty solid stem splitter, at least algorithm, whatever you want to call it, and it does 6: piano, guitar, other, which would be like other melodic sounds, drums, bass, and vocals. Now we don't have any vocals, but we've got the guitar, the bass, and the drums. So this would give us a little more in there to mix. Like if we go, oh, I totally forgot the drums are too loud or something, just change it in there. Beyond that, I always set the DAW BPM to the same as what I'm working on here, which would be 137. That way, if I go, oh, you know, I was too short with one section, I can just chop around in the DAW and move it and fix it and stuff like that. And that's how I've been building all of my tracks now. And that's not necessary. Again, you can take your time and build everything on here, but it just is, it keeps the MPC being the fun parts, which is the getting that sound in, recording, chopping, and stuff like that, and then I don't have to deal with the rest of it. Yeah, that's basically everything. I think we're going to play a little lead sound on top maybe when we end, but if you've got any questions or things you want to talk about with the MPC, let me know in the chat. Vilmos says, Novation Circuit Rhythm. So I don't know if you're asking like if I've tried it or what. I've not tried it. My first piece of hardware was the Circuit Tracks, like the first piece of like DAWless gear, and I loved it. But I really ran into limitations and started expanding and doing all sorts of like MIDI setups, and then I realized like that's just too much, and I started finding like isolated pieces of gear that I can just like vibe with, and I really like that. So I haven't tried the Circuit Rhythm. It looks cool. I think every sample track's monophonic though, which is fine, but that's something to consider. Let's see. Claymore says the compressor is barely usable. Yeah, the compressor's all right. It's got some weird settings like to get things to work and stuff. You gotta really mess with it a bit. Like if you do all amount, like look at how much we've got going on. But if you get just like 2 to 4 decibels of reduction, like it can really boost it. And if you put on the effects sim, the where is it, soft clipper, that's where you can really get like a listen to that. Without the soft clipper, drive it up a little bit, do like a sine. You can get a decent sound from it, but I hear you. And then there's just some weird, I think you can go to kit volume to like adjust things, but volume stuff is just kind of weird for me on here, honestly. Let's see. Where are we at? Silk P says, yeah, it makes no sense having to track out things like old MPCs. I agree. I mean, to be fair, the SP does not have multi-track audio either, and I still think the easiest way for multi-track audio on the SP would be the bus effects just being separate sends and like a dry send. That would still give you 4 to 5, even 6 if you got input effects, like stems you could use. Claymore, I think we read Claymore's about the compressor. So P also said there's a guy that made an app that sort of exports everything separately to a Logic project. That's cool. That would be helpful. But I love these third-party apps and stuff like that, but I do always want to just present the gear originally like as it stands, as it is on its own, like as it's intended, whatever, you know, like meant to be used or how it's built to be used. But I love that there are these things that come out after that work. I haven't tried it. I do think I heard of that. I'll have to look back into it. But yeah, so this isn't meant to be like a review. Again, the whole point was to show like how much fun the chop is and the sampling in is. But then, yeah, we start getting into some stuff. Now, the last thing I do want to do, I like that little, like, weird, wonky groove we've got going on with this out of tune or out of time sample. But I want to do a couple of things to it. So we're going to go in and I'm going to add, let's do tape emulator. And we're only going to put it on that sound. And then I think what we're going to do is just, again, just to show you the resampling the way I'm doing it, right? There we go. And let's add some pad effects too. We'll get like, I want a high pass filter because I don't want any low end. Let's drop the resonance. Band pass probably would work too, but that's fine. Let's put that the lo-fi on for the bit crush. There we go. That's what I want. So let's resample that. And we'll put it, was that a free pad? I hope that was a free pad. Seems like it was. Let's see what else we got. Ninja says they both should have stem export, both per group and per pad. Yeah. I mean, if there's USB audio out, I think pretty much anything should have multi-track. I mean, the Digitact one came out when, I don't remember when Overbridge came out on it, but the fact that that thing can do Overbridge and send stuff out, as wonky as it can be sometimes with the original, I don't know, it doesn't seem like there's much of an excuse for any of those to not have it, but I don't know the inner workings. I'm no engineer or anything, so there may be issues or reasons or something. But yeah, now we got to, let's go back and all mutes are off. That's not what we wanted to do. Whoops. Because now we're going to have those two playing. So I think that's the original. And then that's the one we want to mute. And then we'll just quickly record in. Let's hear it. I just wanted to hear how this turned out. That's cool. Okay, let's record that in. And again, it gets a little off time, but we're keeping the volume really low, or we will drop the volume again. So let's just get that recorded in. Now we can do something really cool, actually. Something I do like about this. I think it'll work with this, but I know with the fader you can actually automate in real time. Let's see if the volume encoder will automate like that. Okay, I think it worked. Yeah! It did work. Perfect. Now that's a little louder than I think I want it, but we'll just let it be for right now. We could always redo that. But again, another awesome part, the automation, it's really fun to use that automation. We could even like automate this filter so it's kind of moving up and down and stuff. There's all sorts of really cool things it can do. Again, it just, like, it's so much fun up to a point in the beat making process or music making process. Then it just starts to like lose me. So that's kind of the main thing I wanted to show, is like it's awesome for chopping, for sampling in. Then it starts, you know, and building the pattern, and then it starts to lose me. So I'd be curious how many of you feel similarly, if it's like, you know, that. But that's where we're at. Let's grab the guitar. I'll see if I can just play a little rhythm. We already have like a lead on it, but I do think I can hear like a cool lead, so I just want to see something real quick. Again, that major minor 7 chord, that second chord, I think it's the D chord that we're doing, just has such a, oh, but then we don't have the amp sim. Something like that might be cool on top. Oh, that last note was perfect. Okay, I do actually think I like that lead. I almost want to put that into the guitar, or into the sample. Yeah, actually, let's do it, because then we can get the amp sim on, because we don't have the amp sim on right now, so it kind of kills it. All right, this is the last thing we'll do, because I do have to run, but I want to get the amp sim on. That's perfect. Okay, we're gonna record that in, and then we will do some mutes or something. That's it. All right, I was gonna like play something on top, but I think that actually works better. Just have that recorded in. And I didn't make a perfect take because you know what? Whatever. Sometimes embracing the imperfections is just more fun. Let's raise the volume a little bit. Might be a little off. Or it triggered it. Let's see. Hold on. Let's look at the center. Ah. Where's the... right at the start. Hold on. So we might... I like that part. I just don't really want to redo it. But I would probably redo that where I just... You know what? I'm going to redo that. I really like that part. I just don't like that that take. So I lied. We do embrace the imperfections, but that one's just too off at the start. So I want to get that one a little more right with the start, and I don't want to deal with the warp on that one. So we'll just record it one more time. Sorry if you couldn't see the guitar. Hopefully now you can see it a little bit better. One thing I got to change is the setup here, because my guitar hits the tripod that's like right there that's holding this camera. So we'll get there, but I only just started doing live streams again a couple weeks ago, so I know you guys all like them. You keep telling me keep doing them, so we'll upgrade it as we go. Anyways, let's record that. There we go. And again, I would probably spend some time playing that in different octaves and stuff like that. But whatever. Okay, that one should be better. That'll work. We'll record that in. Again, we could even do that little warp thing, right? Like warp it to 100. We can even do sequence. I find 100 works better a lot of the time, but go up 12. This is my lazy way of getting things out of the same octave. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, I would just be, I would just play the track beats, which we'll do. I just forgot where I put everything, so that might be a problem. I want to say that, that's the first chord. Hold on. Oh. I don't know why we're getting, oh, the moves, that changed. Okay, we got to get out of trim, because that's just being crazy. So if we go into here, let's see. So let's mute everything, find out where all of our parts are, and then we'll just play a track mute. Inside Bilderberg says, greetings from Iceland. Awesome, just tuned in. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Do you use an MPC sample? Let me know. I want to read a couple other chats, and then we'll do those, figure out where everything is. So Ninja says, hopefully in a future update, fingers crossed. Yeah, definitely. I think that's for probably everything, but the USB. Vilmo says, I connect the Akai sample with Novation Launchpad Pro Mark III. I use the sequencer, and you get, is that distinct sounds? Creatively. That's cool. Awesome. Yeah, I love hearing about all the different combos and stuff. That's the way to do it. Slick P says, how's the non-destructive? Do the chops live inside a pad, or do they fill pads with the specific start endpoints? Are you talking like specifically with chops? Let me show you. And you're talking about the MPC sample, right? I know the chat was talking a little bit about other things, so just want to make sure. But if you're talking about the sample, these chops, as far as I understand it, because I'll show you why, these chops live in like an individual chop thing for each section. If you watched like the short I posted yesterday, you can actually sequence chops from multiple samples at once, and like you can have chops from every sample basically. I don't know if there's like a limit, you know, of polyphony or something, but you can have this one chopped up, you can have that one chopped up, and that one chopped up, and you can play all those chops. Like we're already playing chops from this drum, from that drum, and from that one, and we didn't export any of them to separate pads. Once you're in a chop though, if you do go to chop and you hold the shift button, you can extract, which is cool. So you could move those into pads here, but it's nice that you don't have to. Hopefully that was what you were asking. But either way, that was something that I thought was really cool. So it's good you brought it up because it's cool to point out. Now, let's figure out where our mutes are. And Inside Bilderberg says, thanks, thinking about getting sample, have the Roland P6 and love it. Want this one too. I will say, I'm not one to say buy stuff if you already have things, and just make the most out of what you already have. But if you are looking to buy things, right, you're in the market to expanding your setup or seeing what other things are out there, because I don't think you can really know what's your best fit unless you try some things. The MPC sample and the P6 is a really cool combo. The P6 has all those SP effects. It's got an easier resample, but with much shorter sample time. And the chop is really fast as well, just a totally different kind of chop. You can't control your slice points and stuff. So I find they complement each other really well, because the weakness here is the effects, in my opinion, and the weakness on the P6 is the very limited but fun chop. So you can offset each of those. I don't think it's necessary to get another sampler unless you need it, but if you are looking to get one, it is a cool combo. P6 and SP is also a good combo, but the SP is a lot more money, and the chop is not as good as this one. It's just pretty much everything else, I think, is it can do things a lot. It's a lot more capable with everything else, I find, like live performance and pattern sequencing and all that sort of stuff. Okay, the last thing we were going to do is find what's what in the mutes. So that's our drums. That was our little bonus. That's our other drum. That's our lead. So okay, just to show you like the two different leads. The lead that I would play is the one we recorded, right? And then the one where we took that original arpeggio, chopped it up, and raised it an octave. Very different, right? And I probably would not have thought of that to play on the guitar, but I could hear it once I chopped it. So that's something, even as an instrumentalist, like chopping samples can be so helpful to break out of those routines that we get into with making music and stuff like that, I find. Okay, and then there's that one. That's the other one. We don't want that. That's our arpeggio. That's our chords. That's our bass. That was just that other. Okay, so we have the two main sounds here. Bass, our lead, our little additional drum, and my lead that I like hand performed. Okay, so I think we would start with this sound. And bring it up. Hit the wrong one. Cool. Yeah, so that's what I would do. I would just find little, like a buildup of playing the mutes, record that into the DAW, stem split, mix it, chop things around, move things. I made some mistakes. I would figure out exactly the route I wanted. And if I was really recording this to turn into like a track for release, I would probably write down the way I would build it. You know, like start with this one only, and then go to that one and that one, drop out and bring up. That's just the way I like to do it. It's a lot of fun. With that, I think we're going to call this one done. I'm just going to read the last little bits of chat. And just a heads up, all of the samples that I made, like all of those guitar samples, are going to be in the August Solar Sailor member sample pack. I'm doing a lot of member things right now. We've started doing additional live streams. So if you like these live streams, you can check that out, as well as vlogs once a month where I like go behind the scenes showing how I film stuff and do all that sort of stuff. So if you do want to get additional samples, live streams, all that, it's all bonus. Like, I'm still putting out all the stuff publicly and things, but if you want the samples and things like that, check the membership. It's right here on YouTube. The link should be in the description, but you'll see a little join button. You can hit that. And it is the best way to help support the channel. So if you do like the channel, want to see it keep going, that's the best way. But just hanging out, giving it a like or commenting helps a ton as well. Last little bits of chat. Let's see. Silk Piece or Slick Piece says, exactly. So the chops can work like in Machine. That's an advantage over the SP. Huge advantage over the SP. Then you can make drum kits in one file. Every pad is a track, essentially. Yeah, exactly. If you think of it like that, the only issue with that is you can't mute like just the hi-hat. If I had all of the drums, which I do actually, I have a fair few drums right on this single drum, like a couple hi-hats, a couple kicks. When I mute it, it's all muted, right? But if I wanted to have the hi-hat separately, I could just make a copy of this sample, or of the sample, and sequence them separately, and then you can control the mutes more. So I love the way the chops work here, because you don't have to move the chops to pads like on the SP or on the, well, actually on the P6 it's similar. But yeah, it's like this is like your pad of a sample, and then you can subdivide it into these chops with the chop button, and then you can just live record all sorts of chops from different samples on top of, you know, that. And so it's a fun way to work. Anyways, I think with that, we're going to call it. I appreciate you all hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. If you've got any further questions or just like your thoughts about the MPC, throw them in the comments after. It helps a ton leaving comments and just letting YouTube know you dug the stream. But with that, it's been awesome hanging out with you, and I will see you next time. Next week, new video, new sampler, and then the week after that, we'll be doing another live stream. It's every other week right now. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.